It always comes to this. Hello there, guys. Back again to do another, I guess it's not a tattoo progress update so much as it is a year-end recap of kind of everything I've done this year. I've had a very, very busy year in terms of tattoos. I guess you could say tattoos, piercings, all kinds of things, really. I did some body mod type stuff even this year. As I was thinking about making this video, I was actually having a hard time recalling all of the different things I've had done this year, because I've packed a lot of life into this year, not just with my tattoos and piercings, but with my personal life as well, and things professionally here, as my wife is starting tattooing at the shop here. We went to Kelowna. I paid off some huge bills, you know. Yeah, lots of professional goals hit this year as well as personal, and that's always a good thing. I started this year off with having just done the face red and neck red, and more or less ready to roll out a full color bodysuit. I had a mostly white and black on black suit last year with some color highlights, and from that point, I was finding the color was working overall a little bit more, not so much better, but just it was making a more dramatic result. And so I came into 2023 with the mindset of, I want more color in my suit. I liked color the first time. I wasn't sure how well it would work when I was starting my white and black on black stuff. And so when we did some color highlights in 2021 and 2022, and those were going super well, I decided I wanted to try a lot more, you know, a lot more color. My chest piece was the first huge endeavor, though. I had done my full color on black armpits already. We were still toying with it at that point. The chest piece, which we started in 2022 and more or less finished in 2023, was a full color experiment. And every session, Rick and I tried different colors. I think we put around 65, 70 different colors into that chest piece over the course of late last year, early this year, and found out that pretty well every color works as long as you're willing to do multiple passes. Some colors were better than others. I found the greens and blues took a little more love, more because they were closer to the black tone than the reds and yellows that we used, but they did show up just as clearly as well as they were contrasted, as long as they were contrasted well. With that said, Rick and I spent the bulk of the year working on my sleeve. He did some touch-ups on my head as well. The whole vampire bat on my head was redone this year with Rick. We finished the chest piece, and we've been working steadily on this full sleeve over black. And this will probably be the most complicated, detailed piece that I ever do. First suit, this suit, or any other suit. It's one of the most complicated tattoos I've ever had done, and so it being over black, it's taking an astounding amount of work, and I do expect to finish it this year, but I think it'll probably be late into 2024 when it's done. I'm actually still in 2023 doing this video, but I had some time to do it, and it's as good now as it would be. So with that said, I came into the new year. I had talked to Terry at the very end of 2022 about the rose sleeve that I wanted to do, primarily like my neck where we did the red velvet, but I wanted a much larger canvas, and I wanted to more or less sell this point home to anyone who still doubted this work. I needed a big stretch of real estate. I wanted to design basically a pop song in the tattoo world of something that would be very palatable, very digestible and understandable by just about anyone as soon as you look at it. Whereas my chest piece is a little bit more for, you know, my own specific taste and interest, and everything that I was doing on my torso would really only appeal to a small minority of tattoo consumers. While the rose sleeve sure isn't for everyone, being very basic, you could say ordinary imagery, but it is very understandable, relatable, and digestible. So it ended up trending really, really hard when it was just white and black on black version of it, and that video still trends to this day, almost a year later. When I added the red to it, though I think it was a more visually distinct and impressive feat, it actually wasn't as popular to the masses as it was when it was just black and white on black. But I guess it does make sense when you consider how popular black and gray work is. With that said, the intention was always to do the red, and we have it to a place now where it's very hard to tell that it was ever a blackout sleeve, and that was more or less my goal. Still on the table always, I could eventually one day do a whole other sleeve over top of this if I wanted to, as demonstrated by the spider webs that we've added recently. Once it's red or white or whatever other color, you can go over it again with black. So still learning here. Everything we do, we're still learning, even though we've done probably more of this work on me than any other person has done now. There's still a lot to learn. So I had finished that sleeve in the 10 sessions that I laid out. I originally laid out the 10 sessions, what they would be, even in these YouTube vlogs. If you were watching me then, I more or less said how these would go, and they went exactly how I said they would. We've done 4 more sessions since, but those were just bonuses. We did the spider webs, we boldened the outline, we did a third pass of red just to kind of condense things. You know, there was some highlighting, etc., but it was finished after the 10 that I said would happen. So we finished that fairly quickly, and Terry and I moved on to do things like the red outline on my moon. Some other projects we've discussed that didn't get to yet were my palms. So I got a bit of white out on this one. These have stayed the same now. It's been more than a year since these have been touched. Terry and I haven't done my palms in around 14 months or something. We did a highlight on the neck roses, and we did a second pass on the neck red. We did my shoulder red out, and we did my I shaved my hair, and we reworked my entire head this year. I had, I think, 14 or 15 sessions on my head this year, between the 3 with Rick and the 13 or whatever it was with Terry. That includes 3 passes of red out on my head. We rebuilt the rose on the back of my head, which has been done over 5 times, I believe now, different ways. We redid the eye on the back of my neck. What else did we do? I guess we did my whole back. That was something that I was wanting to do for years. I finally got the chance to do this year. I always said I wanted to do it in one shot. Even when I had Alex Rose here and we did the one on the back of my neck, I was debating having Alex Rose do my back blackout in one session. I always knew that I really didn't want to mess with the back blackout for a very long time. I kind of wanted to get that one done and out of the way. So it was really nice that Terry was able to do that, and there was a lot of trust there between he and I, both for me to heal it and sit for it, and for Terry to be able to execute it. It was a huge bonding experience for the two of us, and I feel like when you go through things like that, you kind of form a lifelong bond. Similarly to my tattoo artist Lee and I, we did so many crazy tattoos and had so many experiences together that that bond will always be there. I feel like when you go that deep with someone, there is almost like a blood brothers type thing that happens. But anyway, we passed the whole back once, and then 4 weeks later, we passed it over again. And I'm happy to say I have a very smooth, very polished black back awaiting another layer. So it was nice to get my blackout back off my bucket list. Made my way out to Kelowna, where my wife learned to begin to tattoo, at least. And while I was there, I got some polarizing eyelid tattoos that... I never expected the result I got from some people, but I think they're growing on some people based on some of the new feedback I'm getting. As I said, when the bruising died off and a lot of people kind of came around, that was no real shock to me. But it always does seem to take a minute for people to get used to something new anyway. So it's whatever. I don't want to dwell on that. I like them a lot. They're one of my favorite little additions this year, to be honest. They're one of the quickest tattoos I had. Also one of the most memorable tattoos I've ever had, because the experience was much different than most sessions. And so I'm quite happy with them, and I wouldn't change a thing with them. I got my vampire fangs done this year. So many people have said things like, oh, they're going to be hard to live with or talk with, or they're going to be hard to eat with, or they're going to break. Things. I've had no issues with my vampire teeth. I've had tons of dental work done this year. In general, I've fixed up basically all of my tooth problems this year, but the only thing that's given me trouble this year are actual fillings. These have given me no problems. I quite enjoy them. They're one of my nicest little trinkets that I've got this year. So actually, I think my favorite things I've done this year overall have probably been my ear tattoos, my vampire fangs, and my eyelid tattoos. It's really nice to be at a place in my life where I can more or less do whatever the hell I want. I don't feel pressured to do anything. I'm kind of on my own little island doing things at the pace I want and the speed I want, and I get no blowback anywhere but my social media feeds. Sometimes people don't agree with my choices, but I'd rather be doing things that people disagree with than being pushed into doing things because people like them or expect them of me. I don't necessarily do things to skirt or subvert people's expectations. I find that it just happens organically every now and then, whereas some things are right, the way people would expect them to be. Like, for example, if I do a pass of red on my neck, it's not really that big of a surprise when I do a second pass. I think people expect those sorts of things. But it's interesting to see that I can be this far into a tattoo journey and still be, coming out with some surprises every now and then. I quickly mentioned my ear tattoos. These have been tattooed twice this year after years of wanting to have my ears tattooed and not really understanding how I could do that. I took the plunge. I was pushed a little more to do it because I had some more of my ear piercings migrate this year. And so rather than dwell on it or be upset about it, I think the smartest thing was to go with this tattered design to make the whole kind of ripped infrastructure of my ears flow better, and I really feel like that was achieved. Obviously, there were some spots in there that were harder to deal with than others, but I've got my ears all stretched back up to the same sizes, and I'm even sporting some nice new Christmas ear hangers. I feel like I'll be wearing a lot more weights again this year, as I'm pretty interested in seeing how they all work with the Blackout lobes. And one novel thing about my ear tattoos was it was interesting for me to have an area of my body take ink so easily. Similarly with my eyelids, where mostly everything that I do needs to be done, 2 to 3 to 4 times over. This shit has been going in really, really easily, and 2 passes on something seems like half a pass on something for me. It feels effortless to be able to move that fast. Also, while I was working with Terry, obviously I had a red layer done on my torso on the sides. We came in, did a second layer of red. We redid the spider eyes. We put the purple and blue, dark blue on my sides here as well to bring out the red even more. As I'm talking about these things, I'll be putting pictures in. I'm still technically at work. We're just very, very slow today. It's the day before we close and everyone has gone home, so I'm taking advantage of the opportunity when I make this video. But I want to keep my shirt on. So there'll be pictures in here of the purple and blue that we did in case you missed those updates. I'm going to be going back into that in the new year and doing light pink and light blue highlights, and I might even do some black low lights in there. We'll see how far we get. I counted that I had 107 sessions this year. I didn't have that in mind all the while. I just went back through my YouTube vlog files, and I discovered that I had 107 tattoo sessions this year. I think next year I'll probably have something like 85 to 90. Once Terry leaves the shop, I will still be continuing getting tattooed by another artist, but at a reduced pace and probably longer sessions. But I do plan on getting some work done by both another one of the shop apprentices here and my wife eventually, maybe as early as the end of next year, but it could be a little bit later than that. I'm going to be having both of them do some pretty cool tattoos on the backs of my calves, and more or less everyone who works here will tattoo me at some point. It's a rite of passage at this shop to learn these techniques of working over blacks. So the last thing I didn't want to forget, I did the 8th version of my eye tattoo this year. It was restructured from the sunflower or flyby pattern, as I like to think of it. Some people thought it looked like a sunflower, whatever. It doesn't anymore. We turned it into more of a black hole / portal and galaxy themed eye. More spacey, cosmic horror feeling. That was long overdue as well, but I needed a break, and we're not quite done with it yet. I picture working on that at least a time or two more before I wrap that up for now. But especially with the eye tattoo, I never ever will say I'm finished with it, because I'll probably keep tweaking that for as long as I'm working on my bodysuit. For a detailed explanation of why it is I've kept the eye and nothing else, I did a whole video on that about 3 or 4 years ago, and you can learn more about it there if you'd like. It's the meaning of my eye tattoo. In 2024, I plan on, like I said, finishing this sleeve. I'm going to get back into the chest piece, do some things with it. I want to color in all the tentacles on my torso, and from there, I have my whole back piece to work on. And like I said, I may do a few little leg tattoos next year. I haven't quite decided what those are going to be yet, but I have a relative idea. I expect to do another 30 to 50 sessions on this sleeve next year. Believe it or not, I have my last session of 2023 coming up in 3 days, and we're going to be hitting this in here. But if you give me a year, say you don't watch my videos for a year, don't be too surprised when next year is dramatically different again. With that said, I don't believe I can make as much progress realistically next year as I did this year. I think this was the year that the most will happen with my 3rd suit. The fastest 3rd suit could be my 5th suit realistically. I think we made a lot of advancements here quick because we know how, but being that I have 2 mostly full sleeves and a revamped front, my ears are finished, my back was blacked out, all of these things have been done this year. I expect the rate of innovation and change to slow just a little bit next year. It's not something to be sad about, it's just a reality. I still think I'll make a lot of strides next year, but I don't think that I'll be breaking the ground that I was this year. It's just part of life, you know? Anyway, I think that just about wraps it up. I don't think I missed too much. I did a 3rd pass on my face red this year, and I touched my chin for the 8th or 9th time, but these are minor things, and I'm sure I forgot a few of the tweaks that I've done this year, but had my hand blasted 3 times again, giving this still more time to heal before I hit it again. But we'll get that again in the new year too. Anyway, with that, that's going to wrap it up for 2023. I do have one more video to make this year, but I'm calling that basically 107, 108 sessions of tattooing this year. It was a good year. I'm looking forward to 2024 and making some more changes. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.